Good morning, I'm Jim Sanders with Dig-It Excavating. I'm here to show you what you can expect with a regular service on your SludgeHammer system. With a conventional system, your drain area is doing a significant part of the treatment, and there's not much that can be looked at there, and you're typically pumping it every 3 to 5 years. And that's about it as far as maintenance. With an advanced treatment system, you have a lot of different mechanical and non-mechanical components treating your sewage inside the tanks, and those need to be checked much more regularly to make sure they're functioning properly. But when we come out to do an inspection on your SludgeHammer system, there are a few things that we're going to be checking in particular. We're going to start by looking at the color and smell of the sewage inside your tanks to make sure that the right kind of bacteria are functioning and cleaning your sewage. We're going to check for an air pattern above the SludgeHammer and the bubble pattern to make sure that oxygen is mixing into your sewage well. We're going to, on occasion, pull the SludgeHammer units to make sure that they're clean and air is able to move through them well. We're going to replace the bacteria packs about once a year to give the tank a new inoculation of the proper bacteria that'll treat the sewage the best. Every time we come out, we're going to check all the filters, make sure they're clean so that you don't have any issues with backing up inside. We're going to take a core sample of each tank to determine how the solids are building up inside the tank. And if there's too much solids, then we will pump the tank to make sure they don't start to cause problems in the rest of the system. Also, while we're here, we're going to check the air pumps, make sure they're running properly. We're going to clean the filters on those. And if there is an effluent pump involved in your system, pumping effluent from the tanks up to the drain area, we're going to check the floats and we're going to check the function of the pump to make sure it's operating properly. The final component of our inspection is going to be checking the field, making sure that effluent is distributing properly through the field, making sure that the field is staying dry and draining properly down through the soil. So in more complex systems or in more complex situations, like when a system is very close to water or when there's been a significant reduction in the size of the drain area because of the advanced treatment, we will regularly do effluent testing to make sure that the system is functioning and keeping the effluent to the standard it is supposed to. When we do an effluent test, we're going to take a sample of the effluent that is going into your drain area and send it to a lab to get analyzed by a third party to be certain that it's being treated as well as it's supposed to be. Okay, you can typically expect to see this type of service 1 to 4 times a year. In a simple residential installation, it's going to typically be once a year. But when we get into being close to water or significant reductions in field size or more commercial situations, it's going to go to 2 and sometimes even 4 times a year. There's a few different things that could change the maintenance schedule to require being serviced more often. One would be if we're doing a restoration with the SludgeHammer unit. We might want to service it more often for a period of time after we've started the restoration to make sure that the system is completely restored. And once it's working again the way that it should, we would typically scale back to servicing once a year. Another situation where we would need to service the system more than once a year is if the effluent is getting discharged close to water, whether that's a reduced setback from a body of water or a reduced isolation distance from the water table. In commercial type settings, often we are checking it 4 times a year. People using the system are not caring much about the system, and we've got to stay on top of stuff getting plugged up. For a typical residential service, you can expect to pay between $500 and $1,000, depending on the size of the system, also depending on whether we need to do an effluent test. For commercial type SludgeHammer systems, there's much more variation in the cost of service because there's much more variation in the size and complexity of the system. But typical commercial systems will be between $1,500 and $2,500 for the service, and then any pumping would be extra on top of that. If SludgeHammer looks like a product that would be helpful for you in your particular situation, please contact us. We're located in Southwest Michigan, and we distribute, install, and service SludgeHammer systems.